Natalie Cochran, a former pharmacist, is accused of poisoning her husband, charged with first-degree murder for allegedly using insulin to kill him.
You are the defendant in this matter, obviously. I mean, you are aware of that, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Michael and Natalie Cochran had 2 kids. He was 38 years old when he died. In early February of 2019, he was sick, had a seizure at the couple's home, and then died 5 days later in hospice. Prosecutors say Natalie killed Michael to cover up her $2.5 million fraud.
Are not two separate things that you can unravel and say there's a federal Ponzi scheme and there's a state murder case. They're combined.
7 months after Michael died, Natalie Cochran was charged by the feds for wire fraud and bank fraud as part of a Ponzi scheme. The Cochrans owned a company, Tactical Solutions Group, which they claimed sold weapons to the U.S. Department of Defense. Federal prosecutors alleged it was a fake business. They had no contracts with the government. The millions of dollars investors, who were mostly family and friends, sunk into the company was actually spent on a lavish lifestyle. Cochran pled guilty in 2020. She was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison.
The financial crime gives rise to motive.
The state alleges that Michael had no idea the family business was a sham, and they say Natalie killed him when he became suspicious and started asking too many questions, especially after his parents invested their entire savings and were not getting their money back. During Cochran's sentencing, Michael's mother said she took advantage of us because we loved her and believed everything she said. Lie after lie after lie, and still no deposits were made. The money never came. Cochran's attorney claims that Michael was a part of the scheme.
There's evidence that points to, I'll say that, to the alleged victim's involvement in the case from the get-go.
Natalie Cochran was indicted for Michael's murder in 2021. The case was temporarily dismissed while the state exhumed his body. She was re-indicted in October of 2023. Now she faces up to life in prison if convicted.
Big day today, opening statements. Everyone's been talking about it, so I want to let you experience it as we listen to the prosecution and the defense going back and forth, trying to make their case and sort of set the framework for this highly contested trial.
February the 5th of 2019, Michael Cochran was a 200-pound, healthy 38-year-old man. By midday of February 6th of 2019, he had lost consciousness, and he would never regain consciousness. He died in hospice care 5 days later, February 11th of 2019. How could this happen? Why did it happen?
You will hear medical evidence that Mr. Cochran was not a healthy 38-year-old man. In fact, to the contrary, between the late 2017 and the time of his death in 2019, he was in the hospital 4 times. For what? For life-threatening conditions. He was a ticking bomb.
There were no diabetics in the Cochran house. And there's no evidence that this defendant was taking insulin to counteract anything. But Jennifer Davis, being a good friend and the mother of a child who was a severe diabetic, had insulin. The defendant knew that. Jennifer Davis, being a good friend, sends her husband with insulin to the defendant's house that morning. About noonish, one way or the other, Michael Cochran collapses.
What comes to mind immediately is that bottle of insulin. And I will submit to you that this is a smokescreen that the state is going to present to you. You will hear expert testimony and evidence that this type of insulin could not kill anybody. And for that matter, that the amount of insulin that may have been given to Michael Cochran would not kill him. But what they will not tell you is that if you are shot with a injection of insulin, you're not going to drop unconscious immediately.
Why? Why would this happen? And why would it happen when it happened? Well, as the defense counsel informed you during questioning, the defendant had run a Ponzi scheme, a big one, where millions of dollars were taken from friends, relatives, local professionals. As many deceptions and lies as were told to her victims of the Ponzi scheme, Michael Cochran was told just as many. He did not know what was going on.
And the state's motive in this case, as they presented to you, is absolute nonsense. He didn't know anything about the Ponzi scheme. He didn't know anything about millions of dollars and the lavish lifestyle. He didn't know anything about this, even though the evidence will show that he was signing all these contracts, he was working on the contracts, he was signing checks, and you will see that evidence, you will hear that evidence. His beloved wife is a fraud and a cheat, and what was he gonna do? No, he was not gonna go and talk to her and try to resolve this case somehow, get a lawyer or no. The evidence will show, well, at least the state's evidence will show, that she's gonna run to the federal government and turn her in and have the dear wife, the mother of his children, locked up in prison. Well, okay.
He was frustrated. He was very frustrated. But the same excuses provided by the defendant to all of her victims in the Ponzi scheme were being provided to Michael Cochran, too. It's everybody's fault under the sun. They've got hundreds of millions of dollars in their money stuck in a bank in Virginia, Bank of America. That's what she told Michael Cochran. That's what he believed. So Michael Cochran is going to straighten this out.
Mr. Cochran, by the state's own admission, was enjoying the benefits of Ms. Cochran's fraud. Well, that's another red herring. He was involved in the Ponzi scheme. He knew about multi-million-dollar purchases, the toys, the houses, trips to Paris, trips to Hawaii, expensive, lavish lifestyle. And you have to ask yourself at the end of the case, he didn't know about it? Really?
Some opening statements that sounded like closing arguments. Still with us, Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, Josh Schiffer. Who won?
The jury wins. The jury's engaged, turned on. Those were two very passionate, educated, clear, and well-prepared advocates. And this is the kind of case that juries really latch onto because the third leg of the stool is usable by both sides. The state's motive is the defense's defense.
Yeah.
They're going to argue over the meaning of this Ponzi scheme, a complicated dynamic at a minimum, especially with his parents being a victim, her having a conviction, what is unsaid between the two of them because it never came out. There's more juice for the jury to sip on for days and days and days. This one's going to be electric.
Is it going to be about the motive, or is it going to be about the evidence about how he died?
You know, they need to show the evidence about how he died and be real specific about it.
You say they. Who's they?
The prosecutor needs to be more specific about how he died, because you're sitting there saying it's going to be a battle of experts about how this happened. I think it's going to be a battle of experts saying how it happened on both sides, and that's what's going to be, because a fraudster doesn't always kill, and the killers don't always fraud. So it's not like she's a bad person because she's a fraudster, convicted fraudster. That's not enough to make her be convicted of murder.
Is it possible the husband didn't know about it, Daryl? That he didn't realize this was a scam?
Life is always possible, but let me get this straight. She's a pharmacist.
Yes.
And he died how? Out of what? Sorry, folks, that pig doesn't fly.
Hey, that kind of insulin can't kill you, though, Daryl, according to this expert.
Thank you.
And really, the issue is expert versus expert. Tie goes to the defense, and the defense knows that.
Exactly.
Except it doesn't. because she's been previously convicted in federal court.
She's only a fraudster.
Just 2.5 million. But that gives her the motive to be a murderess.
No, I don't agree.
I think that it's an argument, but I think it's a hard one to fully evolve and put forward at beyond a reasonable doubt, because there's so many other things that the defense can just toss out there and be like, here, chew on this, chew on that. This is another explanation that could make sense. The state doesn't just have to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. It's the elimination of the other doubts.
You know what's so much fun is the victim is gone, and the jury is going to be so entertained regardless of what their verdict is. A mistrial would not at all be surprising.
And could the lawyers not be out of central casting a little bit? Those guys had me gripped.
Like, we're arguing up a big one. Those are opening arguments.
Yeah. You're supposed to just lay out what the facts are. They're making their case and making their arguments. You know, to me, the motive, though, is interesting, right? If the jury gets focused on that, could they believe that he didn't know that this was all a scam?
There's no way he didn't know. I can't stand that. I do a lot of fraud, and the proof's always in the pudding. It's called your bank statements. And
did the Madoffs know?
Oh, please don't even get me on that one.
You know, why would anybody invest with somebody whose last name is Madoff? That in advance gave you a hint.
Mrs. Madoff was never prosecuted.
No, but she's so new. Cut me a break. How do you not know? That really irritates me.
And juries are the most brilliant.
Look at your bank statements.
Juries are the most brilliant idiots in the entire universe. We're talking about people that have answered all these questions but couldn't figure out how to get out of jury duty. You've got 12 disinterested people that are kind of chained to something. This case is going to grip them. They're going to want the state to have the real
enjoy serving on a jury.
It's the right thing to do, and many of us do want to do the right thing. We may not always do it, but we want to believe that we're doing it for the community and for all of us who live.
Does she have to testify?
Yes.
No. All right.
If she's going to be acquitted, any chance, she testifies.
It depends on how the state's case, man.
Exactly.
All right, we shall see.
Better bring it.
Watching it on Court TV, Josh Schiffer, Meg Strickler, Daryl Cohen, thank you very much. All right, when we return, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, momfluencer and YouTube star Ruby Franke was convicted of child abuse, and so was her friend and former counselor, Jody Hildebrandt. What exactly was the nature of the relationship between these two women? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, coming up next, only on Court TV.
I'm Vinnie Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinnie Politan, weeknights at 8, 7 Central, only on Court TV.
Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look. Making a prisoner. Who is that? That's an earlier picture of Stephen Avery, who was the subject of the very popular Making a Murderer documentary. Well, doesn't look good for him right now. An appeals court has rejected his latest request for a hearing on new evidence, including a possible new suspect. This is the actual ruling. On appeal, Avery argues his motion was sufficiently pled to warrant an evidentiary hearing. We disagree and affirm the circuit court's order. We have reviewed the purported errors and conclude they have no bearing on the circuit court's denial of Avery's post-conviction motion. So denied, denied, denied. He will stay in prison. No new trial. All right, folks, please take a look at your television screens. We have a missing child who needs your help. This is Carla Thomas. Carla has been missing since January 12th out of New Orleans, Louisiana, just 16 years old. So here's what you need to do. Take a look at the picture. If you see her, make a call, make a difference. You can call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, Or you can call the New Orleans Police Department in Louisiana. That phone number is on the screen right now. Let's see if we can get Carla to a safe place tonight.